It's time to take a look at what's happening around Wyoming for Wednesday, July 24th. I'm Wendy Corr, bringing you headlines from the Cowboy State Daily newsroom, brought to you by Wyoming Senior Olympics, reminding you that this year's Summer Olympics start July 31st in Cheyenne and volunteers are needed. Become a volunteer today at wyomingseniorolympics.org. A violent eruption of a Yellowstone National Park thermal feature Tuesday blew up a boardwalk and sent visitors scrambling to escape a powerful explosion of black water, mud, and rocks. Cowboy State Daily's Andrew Rossi reports that the Black Diamond Pool in the park's Biscuit Basin erupted at 9:45 a.m., ejecting an immense amount of black water onto a nearby boardwalk, destroying it and sending tourists running for safety.
When I spoke to eyewitnesses, the only warning they had that anything weird was happening was that another pool in the area started steaming. And then as everyone was watching that, Black Diamond Pool blew its top. So it's a reminder that Yellowstone's a safe place to be for a visitor, but it can be unpredictable and change at any time, which I imagine any Yellowstone ranger or scientist would tell you.
According to the Park Service, Black Diamond Pool has been infrequently erupting since an earthquake in 2006. Inactive since 2016, the pool has erupted twice in 2024, with the last eruption on May 7th. A new documentary about legendary rodeo bull rider Lane Frost premiered in Cheyenne on Saturday. Lane, Life, Legend, Legacy, was shown days before the 35th anniversary of Lane's death at Cheyenne Frontier Days, and it brought out the rodeo and television stars who were inspired by Lane and his life. Cowboy State Daily's Renee Jean was in the audience for the screening of the film Saturday.
This is a really powerful documentary, but I think what's really notable here is that 35 years after Lane Frost's death in 1987, people are still talking about him. He's still setting an example for cowboys all over the world. Frost was just 25 when he died, but the impact he's had on people is just tremendous.
Moses Brings Plenty, who plays Mo Brings Plenty on the hit television series Yellowstone, told Jean he filmed all night, then he and his wife drove 12 hours straight to make it to Cheyenne so he could introduce the documentary. The house was packed with more than 400 viewers, in spite of going head-to-head with all of the other activities at Cheyenne Frontier Days. Governor Mark Gordon isn't oblivious to the fact that it's the height of campaign season in Wyoming. Correcting and responding to misinformation offered up by some of the campaigns in Wyoming is one reason he held a town hall meeting Tuesday afternoon at Sheridan College. Politics reporter Leo Wolfson was at the meeting and said for the most part it was a feel-good event to highlight economic efforts Gordon has promoted since taking office in 2019.
I asked him specifically what was the point of this event, and he said that he's been a little concerned about some of the misinformation and falsehoods that are being spread in some campaigns around the state, and he believes it's important to kind of set the record straight and get it out there, kind of what his administration has been doing to diversify Wyoming's economic future and energy future.
Gordon said he sees deciphering whether information is accurate as part of a larger trend in the greater political ecosystem. I'll be back in just 15 seconds with more news.
In southwest Wyoming, wide open space is waiting. This is how we explore it. In Rock Springs and Green River, Wyoming. Plan your adventure at explorewy.com.
Well, if Wyoming's energy industry thinks President Joe Biden was tough on coal, natural gas, and oil, Vice President Kamala Harris, now the leading candidate for the Democratic nomination, could be even tougher. Energy reporter Pat Mayo says Harris has a long history of standing up against the fossil fuel industry.
She went after companies very aggressively and, won millions of dollars in fines and indicted several people. And, she doesn't play around. Based on everything I was hearing and seeing, it sounds like she's going to be a little bit more even aggressive, if you can believe it, than President Biden when it comes to oil and gas leasing on public lands.
A potential Harris presidency is viewed as being more aggressive than Biden in confronting oil companies on pollution and addressing environmental justice. And more than 2,000 acres, about 7 miles south of Cody, has been chosen as the site for a $10 million Wyoming state shooting complex. The 2023 legislature authorized the money for the shooting complex and also authorized the creation of a task force to oversee site selection, which has been ongoing this year. Cowboy State Daily's Mark Hines reports that Park and Campbell counties both had excellent proposals, but Cody's existing draw as a premier tourist destination tipped the scales.
I can't emphasize enough. This is going to be a big deal. This is going to be a huge thing. I mean, we're talking national and international shooting champions, giants of the shooting sports, which is a rapidly growing sport. It's a huge win for Cody, and we hope for really the entire state of Wyoming to get this thing off the ground.
If all goes as planned, the legislature will release the money and greenlight the project in Park County during its 2025 session. Then construction could begin at the site by spring 2025. And that's today's news. Get your free digital subscription to Wyoming's only statewide newspaper by hitting the daily newsletter button on cowboystatedaily.com. And you can watch this newscast every day by clicking subscribe on our YouTube channel. I'm Wendy Corr for Cowboy State Daily.